Hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger. Date is Thursday, uh, April 6th, 2023. And as you are looking at a tomato, or a plastic tomato that is, on the counter, it's pretty small, so I hope the screen is picking it up. Uh, We are celebrating Fresh Tomato Day. What the heck is Fresh Tomato Day? Well, it first started in 2005 and in Louisiana, I believe. And there are many different ways of thinking about it. I mean, you can think that we should be thankful that we live in countries, in places that tomatoes can be readily available whenever you want them. You can enjoy nice fresh tomatoes whenever you like, wherever you go. Uh, Personally, I think that is definitely something to be grateful about. I am not a big tomato fan, uh, but once in a while I do enjoy tomato on my hamburgers or uh, on in my salad. And if I'm really desperate for some much needed nutrient like vitamin, then I'll even eat a tomato just like that, like I'm eating a fruit. And yes, tomato is actually a fruit, not a vegetable. Just in case you guys didn't know that. Um, a quick little bit of tidbit, trivia, you may say, about tomato. It was first eaten by the Aztec people a long, long time ago. But for the most part, other people didn't eat it. Uh, in the third century, there was a French alchemist who was writing a book on herbs and medicines and vegetables and edible stuff. And he mistakenly got tomato categorized under poisonous food. And he mentioned that tomato is the kind of stuff people use to poison wolves with. Now, if you didn't know that, a tomato is actually in the nightshade family, as most of us know. Nightshade is a deadly, deadly poisonous plant. Uh, Now, tomato itself is not poisonous, as we know by now, but the leaves on the tomato plant definitely are poisonous. So don't ever try to eat the leaves on the tomato plant. For the longest time, European settlers used tomato as decoration, as decorative plants. They look nice, but because of the aforementioned French alchemist putting it down as poisonous, a lot of settlers wouldn't eat tomato. It wasn't until the early 1800s that the story goes there was a starving artist. This artist just spent the last God knows how many hours painting the tomato plant on his desk. And he was at the point where he was tired, frustrated, and very, very hungry. So without thinking, he grabbed the tomato off the plant and bit into it. And to his surprise, rather than dying, he found out that it's actually quite delicious. And from that day on, people started eating tomato. So there you go. Now you know as much about tomatoes as I do. Let's look at the action figure of today. And unsurprisingly, we are going to be looking at a tomato guy uh, on the Fresh Tomato Day. And I don't think you'll find another tomato guy anywhere in any action figure line if you don't look at Fortnite. Okay, Fortnite has the very iconic tomato head, which is this guy we're looking at, this goofy looking character with very colorful, very wacky looking uh, colors on his shirt. He has like purple gloves and green sleeves and a big slice of pizza in the front of his chest. Uh, and at the same time, his outfit is really quite militaristic. He got armors on his shin and an armband on his arm. So it's a very weirded out version of the standard Fortnite military outfit. But the most impressive, the most wacky, the most fun feature obviously is his head. This his head is this big, juicy tomato with a big wacky mustache on top of a wide, goofy grin. Yeah, just look at this guy. Isn't that ridiculous?
The time is now 8 p.m.
Now, I have mentioned more than once in the past reviews that Fortnite is not my thing. I never played Fortnite. There's no story, there's no real storyline to follow in Fortnite. And what little backstory, what little facts that there are to be found are so confusing that it's just not comprehensible unless you play the game. And even if you say, okay, well, there is still kind of a storyline. Look, it's a game where there's giant banana dude, giant tomato dude, giant pumpkin dude running around with guns, killing people and robbing people of their treasure. And this is supposed to be okay for kids to play. Yeah, I'm not really that worried about censorship. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense, and I guess it's just not meant to. So this is again me saying Fortnite never been my thing. I don't understand it, but I have quite a handful of Fortnite characters, and this is really the strength of action figure. This is the mark of good toy making, good action figure making. When you can get me to buy a lot of the action figures from a line that I know nothing about and a line that I don't care about, just because the designs themselves are just super cool, like a guy with a tomato for a head. Yeah, that is success right there. Now, in addition to just being a really wacky design character, by the way, it's possible that his head is not really like a tomato. He doesn't really have a tomato for a head. It's possible that this is a character that is wearing a helmet that's shaped like a tomato. So depending on how you want to think of it, right? Like I prefer to think of it as he's an actual mutated monster tomato running around. But hey, whatever. I think in the game he's supposed to be the mascot of a pizza restaurant, and so he's just a guy in a really weird tomato costume. But to me, that sounds a lot less fun than thinking that this is actual tomato that come to life and run around and fighting people. I think that's much more cool. Now, in addition to being a really funny and strange design, this this action figure, which was made by Jazwares in the Fortnite Legendary, yeah, Fortnite Legendary line, and this came out, I believe, 4 or 5 years ago. Uh, has fantastic joints on it. The articulation is so great that everything that should move, including some stuff that really shouldn't move. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But just look at it. It can stand on one leg, do that side kick pose, no problem. Not too many action figures can hold this pose without leaning against something. Now, granted, I do have him on a display stand, but still, the fact that he can hold this pose without much assistance is amazing. His body is a little bit on the skinny side, but hey, it's a giant tomato guy, so whatever. Uh, it's just so fun as an action figure, and the articulation, they are all for the most part really tight. The hips and knees and a lot of the joints, they have this kind of a ratcheted construction, so they hold a pose really good. He also has butterfly joints, so he can sort of cross his arms like this, and the head can tilt left, right, and turn in different directions as well. And as we've already seen, he can pull off some really wacky martial art poses without any trouble. Now, like I said, in addition to a great design and a really great articulation scheme, he also comes with a whole ton of accessories for you to outfit your giant tomato guy. I'm going to start by showing you guys perhaps the most fun accessory that, personally speaking, make me really love this figure even more. Just look at this. He comes with a second alternative head that you can pop onto the neck joint. And this is a super badass tomato head. Yeah, it's still a tomato, but this one got war paint on his face and a crown made out of bent and broken utensils. You can see forks and knives and spoons all stuck onto his head. This is no longer just a tomato walking around fighting people. This is a tomato that's been around for a while and has seen some really bad shit. And this is a veteran. This is like a tomato veteran. This is just simply awesome. Now, when you want to pop this head on, you the other head you can pull it off very easily, but when you want to put this crowned head on, you got to be very careful. Okay, those little bendy, broken, bent cutlery that's on his crown, you don't want to smush them too much. They might warp, but that's okay. But they might break. They are really thin plastic pieces. So you don't want to go all hand-handed on this guy. So when you're putting the head on, be careful. Grip it from the side and slowly uh, rotate it and twist it a little bit left and right to get it onto the peg. The figure also comes with a big backpack. The backpack is, I believe, people call the special delivery in the game. Uh, it looked like one of those pizza delivery backpack that you see a delivery guy carry. It even have a pizza sculpted onto it. It's a really fun piece that I can imagine people can even use it on their Ninja Turtle display. Now, originally, this figure actually came with a couple of guns. There was a regular rifle and then submachine gun. But I did not keep those accessories with him because those were just very generic guns. You can give to any other character. So I'm not going to show them here because I have no idea who I gave them to. But those are, like I said, nothing special. Those guns you get repeatedly over and over again with the Fortnite action figure. Uh, so I wanted my tomato head to only be displayed with his more unique accessories. So for more unique accessories, it comes with this little potion bottle. I believe this is a shield potion that when you drink it, it protects you in the game or something. On the side of the potion, there's a little slit that you can get his fingers and thumb into for him to look like he's gripping it. However, this is where I'm going to talk about not just Tomato Head, but all of these Fortnite legendary figures made by Jazwares. The one most annoying feature that they included in the articulation is they have articulated fingers, so the hand can open and close. Now, on off the top, you may think, oh, that's really cool. They can open and close their hand. But when you come to action figures, this is immensely annoying for collectors because action figures they're not real people, so they can't tighten their grip. Which means if you want your action figure to hold their weapon, you need their hand to stay closed so they can grip onto their weapon. If they have joints in the hand, this means eventually those joints loosen up and the hand can't close tight, and the weapons or whatever you put in their hand keep falling out. And this is, like I said, a problem across the entire line of these Jazwares Fortnite action figures. That just aggravating, annoying, frustrating. I can't even have enough adjective to express how just overwhelmingly pissy these articulated hands are. So you will see in a little bit. For me to actually get Tomatohead to hold onto his accessory, I had to get a little bit creative and wire them to his hand or tie them to his hand with rubber band. Otherwise, he would be dropping his stuff all the time. For his main weapon, or at least what I choose to display him with as his main weapon, he comes with this gigantic pizza cutter. Yeah, like I don't know, like when you guys were children, have you ever looked at the pizza cutter and you think, whoa, if this was like 10 times bigger, this would be an actual awesome weapon in a fight. Yeah, I'm weird like that. I actually did. I looked at pizza cutters and I think, I wonder how much damage this can do if I can get like a big version of this. Well, Tomato Head walks around whacking people with a pizza cutter. And this is just so awesome. There's some melted cheese, and you can see on the blade, and the blade actually rotates. The wheel of the cutter actually turns on this little weapon. It's just like such a delight. Now, I have it in his hand right now, but I'm going to show you guys why this articulated hand is so annoying. Because even though he's gripping it, excuse my hand, but I'm going to show you guys how loose this is, and this is so annoying. Um, See, I just brushed it with my finger, and that falls out of his hand. That it's not supposed to do that, okay? When you have action figure hold their weapons, when you brush them like that with your hand, maybe the figure should fall over, but they should never drop their weapon. That's just not cool. So unfortunately for me to get him to retain his weapon, I need to resort to rubber bands and twisty ties. Look at that. Now that I actually have that lashed to his hand with rubber band, I'm not dropping it. I can, when I brush it, it's going to knock him uh, crooked, but yeah, it's staying put in his hand. So unfortunately, that's what you have to do with these Fortnite legendary action figures. So last but not least, he also comes with the tomato that we saw in the beginning of the video that he can also hold in his other hand. I know that some people might prefer to display him with his guns, but for me, this is the look I want. This is him with his giant pizza cutter in one hand and his little tomato in the other hand. So why is this giant tomato guy running around carrying a small tomato in his hand? Well, I mean, again, depending on how you want your story to be, maybe that's his lunch, but if you ask me, in my head, I'm thinking this is a tomato creature running around carrying his little baby brother, or maybe his little baby tomato in his hand. Maybe the father and son duo. We don't know. I mean, it's such a wacky action figure. You can imagine it however you like. Now, before we go, we are going to look at a few size comparisons to see how these things work with other action figures. Here is Tomato Head by Jazwares in the Fortnite Legendary line. standing right next to Hasbro Marvel Legend Captain America. And you can see that they are really quite comparable in size. Obviously, Captain America is a lot more buff and a little bit more bulky, and maybe a smidget taller, but you can definitely see this being displayed on the same shelf in the same kind of setting. Maybe this tomato head is a serial killer wearing a tomato hat, tomato helmet, running around dicing and slicing people up, and Captain America have to go deal with him. And here is Tomato Head next to Marvel Legends Spider-Man, and you can see that he definitely looks bigger than Spider-Man. Uh, and yeah, quite imposing standing next to Spider-Man there. And here we have Tomato Heads from Jazwares legendary line standing next to a Todd McFarlane Fortnite premium action figure of the character Dyer. Now, the Fortnite premium by McFarlane were made in the 7-inch scale, so they are supposed to be tiny bit bigger. Well, okay, quite a bit bigger than the 6-inch scale the legendary guys were in. But even in this case, you can see that they display fine together. Dyer is obviously bulkier and bigger than Tomato Head, but that looks fine because Dyer is supposed to be a werewolf, so he's supposed to be bigger. Last but not least, we have Meowso, also a Fortnite figure, and we have seen him multiple times. I just love Meowso. Uh, this one made by Hasbro because Hasbro has the current 6-inch license for Fortnite. When they were transferring the license from Jazwares to Hasbro, a lot of us were thinking, God, is it going to be as good as Jazwares? Is it going to be worse or better? Well, depending on the figure in question, sometimes they are better, sometimes they are a lot worse. Most of the time, they're just okay. Uh, One thing I will say right here is, despite Jazwares' legendary figures had that really annoying articulated hand problem, they came with so much extras, and the price were very reasonable. But when Hasbro has a license now, they don't give you nearly as many accessories. You don't get the extra head, extra faces, extra hands, extra potions, and stuff like that. Uh, the figures themselves are still pretty nice, but they're a lot more expensive considering you are getting a lot less. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. As you can see, standing next to Meowso, made by Hasbro, even though these two are made from different companies, they are again very very compatible. So in the end, we can conclude that Tomato Head is a great action figure, a funky, wacky design with great articulation, and he fit in with all kind of other action figures. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you want, go eat a tomato or have a salad or something to celebrate Fresh Tomato Day. I'll be back again tomorrow for some Fitness Friday. For now, have a good night.